Hello and welcome. So, you're dreaming of studying, working, or maybe just exploring a new country. That's amazing. But that first big step on any incredible adventure is often the visa application. I know, it can seem a little intimidating, but I want you to think of it as the very beginning of your journey, and we're going to break it all down together. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to start with the absolute basics, what this whole visa thing is all about. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of preparing your application. After that, we'll talk about the interview, and then we're going to spend some real time on the single most important concept, proving your home ties. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with some key tips for success. All right, let's get this journey started. Before you even think about packing a bag or booking a flight, you've got to understand what you're even applying for. Getting this first step right, well, that's the foundation for everything else. So what even is a visa? It sounds so official and complicated, right? But really, it's not. All it is an official document, usually just a sticker or a stamp in your passport, that says a country's government gives you permission to visit. It just lays out why you're there and for how long. That's it. It's just permission. Now, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. The reason you're traveling completely changes the kind of visa you'll need. Just going on vacation? That's going to be a tourist visa. Moving to go to university? You'll be looking at a student visa. Each purpose has its own path, so figuring out which one is yours is your first most important job. All right, now you know what a visa is and have an idea of which type you need. Let's talk about getting that application ready. Now, this part can feel like you're drowning in paperwork, but let's reframe that. You're not just filling out forms. Think of it like you're gathering all the essential tools for a grand quest. The process itself actually follows a pretty clear path. First, you lock in your visa type. Then you start gathering all your documents. We're talking everything from flight itineraries to letters of invitation. After that, you'll tackle the application form itself, pay the fee, and then you schedule that all-important interview. See? It's just one manageable step after another. Okay, of all the documents you're going to collect, there is one that is the absolute king, your passport. But here's the thing, and this is where people get tripped up. It's not enough for it to just be valid. Most countries require your passport to be valid for at least 6 months after you plan on coming home. So please, check those dates early. Another absolutely key piece of your toolkit is proof that you can support yourself financially. The embassy just wants to be sure that you can cover your costs while you're there. This usually means providing bank statements. And listen, they're not trying to judge how wealthy you are. They just need to see that you can handle your trip without any problems. Okay, you've gathered your tools, you've done all the prep work. Now it's time for the main event, the interview. This is it. This is the moment where all your preparation really pays off and you get to clearly and confidently make your case. You walk in, you sit down, and this is very, very likely the first thing you're going to hear. It seems simple, right? But your answer here really sets the tone for the entire conversation. So be specific, be clear. I'm visiting my brother in Minneapolis, or I'm attending a conference in New York. The more direct and honest you are, the better. You can also bet they'll ask a few other standard questions. How long are you staying? Who's paying for this? And then there's that last one. Tell me about the ties you have to your home country. That one. That's the one we really need to unpack, because all these other questions, they're really just leading up to that central idea. And that brings us to, and I am not exaggerating here, the most critical part of your entire visa application: understanding and proving your ties to your home country. This is, without a doubt, what the visa officer is most interested in. So what in the world are ties? Well, the whole idea is about the connections and responsibilities that are going to pull you back home after your visit is over. I love this analogy. Just imagine there's a rope, or maybe a bunch of ropes, tying you to your life, your job, your family, everything back home. So what do these ropes look like in the real world? Well, the big ones are pretty obvious. A steady job, owning a home, having a spouse or children, but strong ties can be other things too. Maybe you're the main caregiver for an elderly parent, or you're enrolled in college and have to return for classes. They're all anchors that keep you connected to home. And that brings us to assets. You can think of assets as the physical proof of your ties. They're the valuable things you own in your home country. Your house, your car, your investments. These aren't just numbers on a page. They are solid, tangible evidence that your life is built and rooted at home. So why is this the most important thing?
It all boils down to one simple fact. The visa officer's main job is to feel confident that you are going to return home when your visit is over. Your ties are what give them that confidence. That's the core of the whole assessment.
All right, we have covered the what and the why. So for this last section, let's talk about the how to put this all together and secure that ticket for your next big adventure.
These tips are all about being prepared. Seriously, start early so you're not stressed. Be 100% honest about everything. Follow every single instruction down to the letter. And here are a couple of pro tips. Get a file and organize all your documents neatly. And always, always bring more paperwork than you think you need. It is so much better to have something and not need it than to need it and not have it.
And after all this talk of paperwork and interviews, let's not forget what this is all really about. That visa. It isn't just a stamp. It's the key. It's the key that unlocks the door to new opportunities, new cultures, and incredible new experiences. It's your ticket to a bigger world.
So, with some careful preparation and a clear understanding of what they're looking for, you can turn what seems like a complicated challenge into a really smooth journey. The only question left is, your visa is your key. Where is it going to take you?